It started with joint pain, small at first. Wrists, knees, that dull kind of ache you can't explain but can't ignore either. I told myself it was the weather. Long hours at my desk. Too much screen time. Hormones, maybe. But by the third week, I couldn't ignore it anymore. My fingers would lock on my morning coffee mug. And sometimes, my chest got tight, not painful. Just off. Let's just rule things out, I remember telling Dr. Keller at my next checkup, forcing a laugh. You know, just in case it's not me being dramatic. He laughed too. Amelia, you worry too much. I half smiled. Yeah, maybe. You're young. Your vitals are great. You don't need to chase zebras. I didn't know what that meant, he explained. It's a saying. In medicine, when you hear hoofbeats, you assume horses, not zebras. Odds are it's nothing serious. A quick glance at my chart. Not a hint of concern. You've got stress. That job of yours keeps your adrenaline running. Probably just tension. You really think that's it? I'd bet my license on it. I left feeling scolded, but in a calm, affirming way. As if he knew what I didn't. And maybe I was just being paranoid. So I ignored it. I stretched more. Took warm baths. Bought turmeric supplements from the store aisle that practically whispered organic magic. But the spells didn't work. Over the next 2 months, I started keeping a list in my notes app. Woke up dizzy again, knees stiff, even walking to mailbox, chest fluttered when I stood up too fast. Fingers tingling after typing, no one else knew. I kept it quiet. Because what do you say? Hi, something's wrong with me, but no one can find it. And when I did mention it, people said things like, maybe you're just burnt out? Sounds like anxiety, honestly. You know, my cousin had something like that. She needed vitamin D. I added a therapist visit to my calendar. Just in case they were right, Dr. Keller was still my go-to. He knew my chart, my history, my family. I liked that he never made my appointments feel rushed. Until they were. Second visit. He didn't even touch my wrist when I told him I had trouble gripping my water bottle. Carpal tunnel, maybe. Try a brace. Take breaks at work. What about the chest stuff? Still thinking too hard? Your blood pressure's great. And the dizzy spells? The locking knees? You sit too much. Another smile. Honestly, Amelia, if I had $1 for every overworked 30-something who came in convinced their body was giving out, well, I wouldn't be working. He laughed at his own joke. That was the first time I left the office and cried in my car. Not from pain, from not being listened to, from feeling like I'd said all the right things, and somehow I was still dismissed. This is so stupid, I told myself, wiping my face. If nothing's wrong, why do I feel everything is? I kept going, yoga, vitamins, deep breathing apps, and silence, even when a shooting pain in my back made me grip the countertop for balance, even when typing one-handed became a normal workday, even when sleep came in 3-hour stutters and pain remained the only thing sharp in a day full of his. Because I trusted him, he was my doctor. He was supposed to know if something was wrong. I didn't know then. But that misplaced trust would almost cost me everything. The office fluorescent lights were buzzing louder than usual. Or maybe it just felt that way because my ears wouldn't stop ringing. I blinked at the spreadsheet in front of me. Numbers swam like they were underwater. My fingers shuffled the mouse, but I couldn't feel if I was clicking or just pretending to. Amelia, you good? My manager, Lauren, hovered by my desk. Yeah, I lied. Just tired, she smiled. Aren't we all? I left early that Friday. Told HR I'd been fighting a migraine all week. They said take the weekend to rest, but I didn't need rest. I needed someone to believe me. Saturday morning, I collapsed in aisle 9 at Rite Aid. 1 second, I was reaching for a heating pad. The next, I woke up on the cold, gray floor, staring at the fluorescent lights with a stranger holding my hand. She's coming back around, someone said. My chest felt tight. My arms numb. What happened? I asked. You fainted, he said. Don't try to sit up yet. By the time paramedics wheeled me out, I was more humiliated than scared. And still, anxiety. That's what everyone suggested. That word floated in every sentence like a default. At the ER, they ran basic tests. Blood pressure, normal. EKG, average. Fluids, a little low but not critical. You ever had panic attacks? The nurse asked gently. No. Sleep issues? History of anxiety? I hesitated. I've been stressed lately. She nodded like it made sense. That could be it. They gave me a saline drip. Suggested I eat more iron. Handed me a pamphlet titled Stress and the Female Body, with a drawing of a barefoot woman cradling her head. I stared at it like it was mocking me. At home, I opened my notes app. Symptoms so far. Fatigue, numbness in hands, chest, tightness, joint, stiffness, blurred vision, fainting. If this was anxiety, why did it feel like my whole nervous system was flickering on and off? I called Dr. Keller first thing Monday morning. His reception said he could squeeze me in next week. When I finally sat across from him again, it was like deja vu. Same clipboard, same white coat, same tight smile. I saw your ER report, he said, flipping pages. Classic panic response syncope. What does that mean? Your body reacted to stress by shutting down for a second. But my body's been shutting down in pieces for months. He paused. Amelia, I care about you, I do. But symptoms don't always mean illness. And when you go digging for something wrong, the brain plays dirty tricks. I blinked. Did you just say this is in my head? I'm saying. He leaned forward. You might need to trust your life is okay. Sometimes we hold so much tension emotionally, our bodies just act out. So calm. So confident. So dismissive. Every sentence felt like gaslight wrapped in concern. When I left the office, I sat in my car, something deep in me. Beneath the tiredness, the pain, the fear, snapped. I had spent nearly a year treating this man like a lighthouse. And the whole time, he was fog. That night, I cried harder than I had in months because this time, I knew it wasn't in my head. I could name every ache, every flicker of numbness, every second of static that flooded my body. And if he wouldn't listen, then I'd find someone who would. I opened my laptop and searched. How to get a second opinion when doctor dismisses you. The first result? You are allowed to trust your body more than someone's degree. My hands shook, but for the first time in months, I felt awake. I woke up that Tuesday unable to feel my toes. Not just they're asleep, numb, not tingly. Not stiff, dead, I poked them. Pinched them. Nothing. By the time I rolled out of bed, my lower legs felt wrapped in concrete. Walking to the bathroom took everything I had. My hands couldn't grip the doorknob. That's when the panic kicked in. Not the maybe I'm overreacting panic. The something's seriously wrong and I am past excuses kind. I didn't call Dr. Keller. Didn't leave a voicemail. Didn't bother explaining symptoms he'd already waved away. I called 911. By the time the paramedics arrived, I was on the floor again, arms trembling, chest heavy. The ER was brighter this time, cleaner, or maybe I just felt more desperate. This time I didn't whisper my words. I listed everything. Every symptom, every timeline, every shrug from Dr. Keller, even the stress and female body pamphlet. The attending physician, Dr. Bryant, listened. Actually listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't say, "That's normal," she said. "Okay, let's make a plan." They ran tests, blood panels, neuroresponse checks, brain scan, lumbar puncture. The works. Around hour 4, Dr. Bryant pulled the curtain back with that face. The kind doctors wear when they have news that matters. We've got some preliminary results. I sat up straighter, gripping my hospital gown. You have markers for systemic lupus erythematosus, an autoimmune condition that's likely been developing for more than a year. My mouth went dry. What does that mean? It means your body has been attacking itself. The nerve symptoms, joint stiffness, numbness, all connected. And based on your EMG tests, we found early signs of nerve damage. Unmanaged. Permanent in some areas. My throat closed. But we can slow the progression. Especially now that we've caught it. I heard that word on loop. Now. Now felt late. Now felt expensive. Now felt stolen. I didn't cry. I just sat there, hearing buzzwords. Steroids. Plaquenil. Pain management. Fatigue care. But behind every word was a whisper I couldn't shake. Your doctor should have caught this. Before discharge, Dr. Bryant asked gently, "Who's been managing your care up to this point?" "My primary," I answered. "Dr. Brian Keller." The silence after I said his name told me everything. "I've heard of him," she said, stacking my lab reports. "Not all good?" She didn't look up. "If I were you, I'd file a formal request for your full medical records immediately. Start documenting everything." The ride home felt unfamiliar, like I wasn't going back to my apartment, but to a version of my life that had tilted barely enough to notice, and now nothing stood straight anymore. I passed storefronts I didn't recognize. Mail I didn't remember bringing in. Nothing fit. Back in bed, I scrolled through months of messages from Dr. Keller. Read them like evidence I never realized I was collecting. "You're young. Just stress. Blood work is great. Don't overthink it." So smooth. So confident, so very wrong. That night, I created a folder on my desktop. Medical, misdiagnosis. Keller dragged screenshots, appointment notes, emails. I didn't know what step 2 was, but step 1 was clear. Document everything. My boyfriend called. I didn't answer. He'd once told me, "Babe, maybe you're just burned out." Women carry tension differently. Nice guy. Supportive guy. But I was learning that no one really shows up for you until you make them look directly at the hurt they helped you ignore. The next morning, I woke up, clicked the folder open, and created a doc timeline of symptoms, plus communication lapses line by line. I started writing, and for the first time, my body wasn't screaming alone, words were fighting back. Dr. Simran Patel's office was in a modest brownstone-turned medical practice. Calm, warm wood floors, air that didn't smell like bleach and denial. I almost cried when her nurse called me in by my actual name. And said it correctly. "Take your time." Heels off. Gown open in the back. She smiled. It was basic, but it felt like a lifeline. Dr. Patel knocked once before entering. She didn't sit right away. Just stood by the chart, reviewing silently. "You're 33? She asked. "Yes." "You've been experiencing these symptoms for about 10 months? I nodded. She looked up. "You kept working through it?" What choice did I have? A soft smile. No lecture. She just nodded like she understood. Then she surprised me. She shrugged off her coat, sat beside me, not across a desk, and said, "Let's figure this out together." That word stayed with me. Together. Not, "I'll fix you." Not, "Don't worry about it." Just, together. She explained everything. Autoimmune panels, MRI recommendations. Why neurotesting couldn't be skipped anymore. "Do you have a copy of your past labs and exam notes?" "Yes," I said, powering on my laptop. She looked through Dr. Keller's records and blinked. "These are minimal," she whispered. "I know. There's entire protocol missing here." He dismissed multiple red flags. I swallowed hard. "Can I ask you something?" She nodded. "Could this have been caught sooner?" She leaned back, carefully weighing the words. "Yes, almost definitely." That's when it hit me in the stomach. I had proof. But also, I'd been right. And somehow, that hurt worse. We started treatment immediately, anti-inflammatories, a low-dose steroid regimen, IV therapy. My body responded slowly, like it didn't trust the help either, but the fog started to lift. I felt less trapped in my own skin, more aware. Present, still tired. Still scared, but heard. And there's something about being taken seriously in a room that makes the pain feel less alone. I told Dr. Patel about the fainting, the numbness, the headaches I had stopped reporting out loud, because I assumed no one would care. You learn to mistrust your instincts, she said softly. Medicine failed you. Part of me wanted to cry. The other wanted to sue. You're not the only patient, she added, closing her laptop. Excuse me? I mean, she hesitated. You're not the only one I've seen come in here after being dismissed by him. I sat back. You mean Dr. Keller? She didn't answer, but her silence was loud, and it cracked something open inside me. I wasn't special. Not just unlucky, I was one of many. And maybe, just maybe, I was the one willing to say something. When I got home, I collapsed on the couch, not from exhaustion but relief. Actual relief. Real answers. Actual data. Real medication. Not mantras about drinking more water. I opened my medical folder and stared at the timeline I had created. Then I opened a new doc. To file. Medical misdiagnosis. I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. But I was also going to do this right, not out of spite, out of necessity. Because if he did this to me, he's done it before, and he'll do it again. I didn't realize how heavy silence was, until I started unpacking all the words I'd swallowed for the past year. I began with the basics: emails, voicemails, appointment reminders. All of it straight from my inbox into a digital graveyard labeled Misdiagnosis, full case. The bigger it got, the angrier I became. Not the shake your fist at the sky kind. The quiet, calculated kind. The kind you feel in your spine. I started therapy again. Same therapist as years ago. Her name's Gina. She didn't ask if I was ready to talk. She just said, "What finally made your body louder than your fear?" I told her everything, and when I said the words, he should have caught it. She nodded so deeply I felt it in my chest. He didn't miss it, Amelia, she said. He ignored it. That night I searched his name online, Dr. Brian Keller. And there it was, a tiny, quiet post on a local health forum. Has anyone had experience with Dr. Keller? I keep getting brushed off. Barista Mom 26, no replies. I created an account, Amelia. Never again, I replied, yes, same, let's talk. 3 days later, she DM'd me. Her name was Mia. 32. Diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis 6 months too late. Her joints were already damaged. Guess who had told her it was stress? Then came Allison, chronically anemic. Told it was hormonal mood swings. Actually, advanced stage endometriosis and Beth. Story like mine. Nervous system damage, all Dr. Keller's patients, all ignored. We formed a secret group chat. Red flags. Dr. K, the stories spilled fast. Dismissed symptoms. Notes missing from charts. A few, Beth included, said he didn't even run standard labs. Just eyeballed his diagnosis. I thought I was going crazy, Mia texted. You weren't, I replied. None of us were. One night, I pulled out my old journals and flipped to the margins. Little notes I'd scribbled and forgotten. Can't tell if my symptoms are real. Maybe I'm a hypochondriac? Maybe this is just what life feels like now? I read them through. Tears, because they felt like gasps, me trying to breathe in a room no one believed was on fire, and I blamed myself for the heat until now. Now, I was talking. Now, I had names. Now, I was fighting. I called Dr. Patel and asked, how do I file a formal complaint? She walked me through it kindly without pushing. 2 forms. Medical board. Optional case narrative, she said, big start with dates. But don't let them steal your voice under just facts. You can tell the truth and explain how it felt. That unlocked something. My statement began with, Dr. Keller told me there was nothing wrong with me, but while he was saying nothing, my body was breaking. He didn't miss it. He ignored it. I started writing at 10 p.m. I finished the rough draft at 4:13 a.m. Didn't check my grammar, didn't check my spelling, just told the truth. Sentence by painful sentence. The medical board accepted my submission. I wasn't the first, and I wasn't the last. One of the moderators from the health forum messaged me. We've had multiple flagged DMs about Keller. Would you be open to speaking anonymously for a longer form investigation? I reread the message 5 times. I wasn't thinking about revenge anymore. I was thinking about nameplates. Diploma frames. The long line of patients still sitting in his waiting room. I messaged back, yes, no name, but yes. I didn't want a courtroom. I wanted a spotlight, because cockroaches don't run from justice. They run from light. The email subject line read, RE interview request, medical negligence inquiry. Under it, hi, Amelia. We're running a deeper piece on overlooked patient voices and systemic dismissal in primary care. Your allegations about Dr. Keller overlap with several we've received this month. You wouldn't have to use your full name, but your story matters. Would you be willing to speak? My stomach flipped. Name, no name, allegations, overlap. There it was again. Confirmation that I wasn't imagining things, but also the risk. Once you speak, you can't unspeak. I didn't reply right away. I sat on it. I went on walks without headphones. Scrolled through old prescriptions. Read comments on anonymous health boards until my eyes burned. Everyone had a story. Almost no one had a conclusion. I called Mia. You got the same email, right? She asked before I even said hello. Yeah. Are you gonna do it? I don't know. You're braver than I was, she said. You filed. I wasn't brave. I was mad. You can be both, she replied. That night, I emailed back, yes, first name only. No photos, but I'm ready to talk. The journalist called me 3 days later. Said her name was Kara, said she'd been covering medical malpractice for 6 years, polite, measured, but not detached. She said, I'm sorry this happened to you. And for once, it didn't sound like a script. I told her everything, the symptoms, the visits, the email threads, the voice of Dr. Keller explaining hormones like I was an overheating car, the pamphlet, the gaslight smile, the lost year. She didn't interrupt. She let silence hold space for the hard parts. And when I was done, I exhaled like I had just crossed something, long and invisible. The article went live a week later. Headline: He said we were fine, we weren't. Subtitle: Women speak up about one doctor's pattern of dismissal. Clicked, scrolled, stopped. Amelia, 33, was told her symptoms were stress-related. 4 ER visits later, she was diagnosed with advanced systemic lupus and permanent nerve damage. Seeing my words on screen, it felt like pulling something sharp from under my ribs. But mostly, it felt right, true, undeniable. Messages trickled in. Thank you for saying it out loud. This gave me shivers. He said the exact same thing to me. I thought I was alone. And then came the other ones. So we're blaming doctors now for everything? Enjoy your 15 minutes, snowflake. Why didn't you speak up sooner? Each praise sliced. Each insult added salt, but none changed the truth. Dr. Keller didn't release a statement. His clinic did. We take all feedback seriously. We are cooperating with the board's ongoing review of this matter. Review. That word again. Polite and sterile, not accountability. Just delay. Still. People were noticing. Walked past his clinic 2 days after the article dropped. The waiting room was nearly empty, Mia and Beth, and I still talked almost every day, not about revenge, about relief. And grief, because stories like ours, they don't end with a byline. They end when we stop waking up and asking if we're crazy. A newer message came from someone I didn't know. I've been seeing Dr. Keller for years. Never thought anything felt off. But your article made me rethink every appointment. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm listening now. For the first time in this entire mess, I finally let myself answer, you're welcome. And you should listen, because no one else will do it for you. It started with a letter. A quiet white envelope slipped into my mailbox that morning. No logo, no flashy words. just from the office of the state medical board. My hands went cold. Inside, confirmation that my claim had triggered formal review. They were opening a case file on Dr. Brian Keller. He would be informed, interviewed, audited. Other affected patients were being contacted. A real investigation had begun. You'd think it would feel like a win. But mostly, it felt like stepping onto a tightrope, a crowd watching, waiting to see if I'd fall. The next day, my inbox filled with alert emails, local newspaper, city doctor under fire after pattern of complaints, medical watch blog, is your doctor ignoring your symptoms? One woman spoke out. Screenshots flew across Reddit. Health forums exploded. Mia texted me, "Okay, it's real now." Really real. I clicked one of the articles, scrolled down, and there it was. Dr. Keller has been removed from his patient rotation while the board's investigation proceeds. The clinic has assigned interim physicians until further notice. Removed. Not fired. Not charged, but finally held back, even for now. It mattered. The fallout came fast. Patients who'd trusted him for years felt betrayed. Others rushed to defend him. He's always been helpful to me. Everyone's too sensitive. Nowadays. They just want to ruin a good man's career. Good. Man, that stung. Not because I believed them, but because I used to. The medical board reached out again. I had to give recorded testimony. Gina, my therapist, asked if I wanted a lawyer. Not for money, I said. Just truth. Truth still needs protection, she replied. So I got one. Not flashy, not loud, just steady. The hearing wasn't a courtroom. Just a conference room too cold for comfort, a ring of seats, and a name plaque for each participant. Keller sat at one end. Hair combed. Tie perfect. That same charming smirk he wore in his office until he saw me. Then it dropped. His lawyer called it a miscommunication of care. Mine called it negligence and systemic dismissal. I took a deep breath before I began. Told Dr. Keller my symptoms for over 12 months. He dismissed them. Refused referrals. Never investigated further. I slid my timelines across the desk. Appointment dates, symptoms, quotes, lab gaps. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. But every word felt like a controlled fire. He didn't deny what I said. Instead, he minimized. She was anxious. She refused to accept non-alarming results. It's unfortunate she misunderstood my approach. No apology, just reshaping the narrative in real time. Beth testified next. Then Mia. Then two names I didn't recognize. One broke down crying. The other couldn't finish her sentence. It was heavy, unstoppable, real. A week later, they placed his medical license under probationary review, more interviews to follow. Recertifications required, still not justice, still not over. But for once, he wasn't untouchable. A radio station asked to interview me. I declined, too soon. Too raw. But I wrote something instead. A blog post called "The First Time I Was Ignored," and it spread. The patient forum pinned it. Several nurses emailed me, thanking me for speaking up, because they couldn't. Even one doctor I'd never met messaged anonymously. You're right. We miss things. But we shouldn't ignore them when the patient doesn't. There was noise, pushback, fake accounts, Google reviews posted by trolls calling me a liar. But the truth? Still louder, one message stood out. This saved me. I was about to ignore my fatigue and pain. Then I read your story. And I pushed. And they found something. Stage 2, but treatable. You saved me. Thank you. And I broke down. Not from pressure, but from realizing this wasn't just mine anymore. It was ours. And we weren't helpless victims anymore. We were evidence. We were witnesses. And now they had to listen. At first, I thought he'd stay quiet. But then came the article. Some small local outlet. A carefully worded piece titled, "Longtime Physician Responds to Recent Allegations. Vows to Clear His Name." Cute. professional headshot, warm lighting. Quote stuffed with compassion, misunderstanding, and decades of excellence. He said he'd never ignored a patient, that he believed in listening deeply, that his character was under attack. My phone buzzed with messages the second it went live. Have you seen this? He's trying to play hero. You okay? I was. Shockingly, I was, because I wasn't afraid anymore. I clicked open the folder on my desktop. Misdiagnosis, proof, and there it was. Everything. January 12th. Probably just stress. February 26th. Try magnesium. March 3. Labs ordered. Only basic CBC, no inflammation panels. March 21. Still no referral given, despite escalating symptoms. May 6th. You need to stop Googling everything. Screenshots. Time-stamped records. Even one voicemail where he'd literally chuckled and said, I promise you, Amelia, if something were wrong, I'd know it. I labeled that file. We know it now. The investigative journalist emailed me again. We're doing a follow-up. Would you consider releasing your documentation, redacted for privacy? I said yes, because he wasn't just protecting himself anymore. He was trying to erase us entirely. But the difference was, he spoke in vagueness. I came with dates. The story hit national threads this time, viral on Reddit, screenshotted on Instagram. Headlines now said words like gaslighting, medical negligence, structural dismissal, women's health crisis. Other outlets started digging deeper. His license hadn't just been put under review. Now malpractice claims were being re-examined, some dating back 10 years. I remember sitting alone with a cup of coffee the morning the podcast episode aired. It was titled, She Documented Everything, and That's Why She's Winning. I wasn't interviewed. But they read excerpts from my timeline. Broke down how easy it is for systems to dismiss female patients. One of the hosts said, what killed their defense wasn't the pain, it was the proof. She didn't just have emotion, she had emails, data, receipts. I closed my eyes and exhaled, because I remembered the days when I hated myself for needing to write it all down. Mia texted me. This part feels like watching karma, but slow and steady, like justice in real time. Beth said, they can deny accusations, but they can't delete screenshots. Dr. Keller released a written statement after that episode. It was cold, legal, predictable. He blamed media sensationalism. He said his practices were standard, that not every patient can be pleased. It was the most professional way to say, I didn't listen. But I don't care that you noticed. He started losing patients. Slowly at first, then in waves. People canceled without rescheduling. Reviews dropped to 1 star. Yelp filtered dozens, but the message had already settled, avoid him. Dr. Patel called me weeks later. I saw the investigation reports, she said. Just wanted to say, thank you. For what? For showing them what accountability looks like. And for the first time, I realized maybe this story wasn't just mine anymore. It was a template, a warning, a whisper-turned wake-up call. And when Keller said, she's exaggerating, all I had to do was open the file, scroll, click, prove, because when your truth has a timestamp, they can't just delete it. The last hearing wasn't in a courtroom. Just a plain beige room with a round table, a pitcher of water, too many pens, and name tags lined up like chess pieces. They called it a review panel. It felt like the final act of a very long story. They let me speak. No cross-examinations. No interruptions. Just me. The woman sitting exactly where I had once sat 10 months ago. Anxious. In pain, asking for help and being told to drink more water, except this time, I wasn't pleading, I wasn't flinching, I wasn't small. I'm not here for revenge, I said. unfolding a single page of prepared notes. I'm not here to ruin a career, but I am here to say, if I wouldn't have insisted, if I hadn't switched doctors, I might not be standing here at all. 20 eyes watching me, some tired, some skeptical, but many, for the first time, attentive. Real attention. Not the kind that waits to reply, but the kind that listens to remember. I explained the timeline, the symptoms dismissed, the referrals never filed, the subtle gaslighting. I even read Keller's exact voicemail quote, "You're young. If something were wrong, I'd know it." Then I let it hang in the air, heavy, cold. Doctors don't have to fix everything, I said, but they do have to look. They have to listen. They have to act before it's too late. Keller sat across from me. He didn't speak. Didn't even blink when I looked at him for the first time in almost a year. Let the silence choke him. When I finished, the panel didn't say much, just thanked me, genuinely. One woman, a silver-haired physician, folded her arms and nodded slowly. "You should never have needed this much evidence just to be believed," she said. "We failed you." My eyes burned, not from sadness, from finally being seen. Later, I sat on a bench outside the building, sun filtering through city dust. My phone buzzed, a text from Dr. Patel. "You did something big today. I'm proud of you. But more than that, thank you. From every woman who doesn't know how to ask for help twice." I read it. Then again, and I just whispered, "You're welcome." Because for once, I didn't have to raise my voice to be taken seriously. I never wanted to be the face of anything, not misdiagnosis, not malpractice, not medical gaslighting. But it happens when you speak up inside a room everyone else has been whispering through for years. They hand you the mic and expect you to burn down the system. But all I ever wanted was to be heard. The investigation ended 3 months after my testimony. Dr. Keller was found in violation of 4 primary standards of care. He lost his license. There would be no return. And still, it didn't feel like a victory, not completely, because I wasn't trying to ruin him. I was trying to save the next me. I started sleeping better, not just from the medication, but from the absence of the inner voice that used to say, "What if you're making it all up?" That voice is quieter now, almost gone. Because I know this. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't overreacting. I was right. I've kept my file, printed it, bound it, labeled the spine. My body knew. Sometimes, I open it just to remind myself what ignoring small things can cost. Mia emailed me last week. She's speaking at a community health panel in her city. Beth sent a picture of a mural near her hospital titled, "Believe women, respect symptoms, save lives. We don't talk daily anymore, but we're all still watching, still warning, still witnessing." I've since created a blog called The Second Opinion. It's nothing fancy, just stories, letters, resources for people like me. There's no donation button, no monetized content, just a sentence at the top of the homepage. If you're reading this, your pain is real. Start writing everything down. Now, people, call me brave. I tell them I'm just stubborn, or maybe just someone who finally got tired of making her voice small so someone else could feel smarter. This isn't a happy ending kind of story. It's the kind that closes slowly, like a door that stopped creaking because someone finally oiled the hinges. So if you're reading this, if you've ever been in an exam room trying to convince someone you're not imagining your own body, write it down, trust yourself, and push until someone listens. Because sometimes the system won't catch you until you bleed loud enough. But I'm here to tell you, you're not crazy. You're not difficult. You're not wrong. You're right to advocate for yourself, just like I was.